In the previous episode, we checked out Mt. Baker from its north by driving all the way to the end of the Mt. Baker Highway. Our adventure in Washington State continues as I head to the south of Mt. Baker, hoping to appreciate Washington's third highest mountain from a totally different angle. Alright, so right now I'm at the local ranger station in Sedro-Wolley. Today we're going to the other side of Mt. Baker. So the other side is like the less visited side of Mt. Baker, and normally most of the people, they just visit the Mt. Baker Scenic Highway, which goes on the north side of the mountain. But today we're gonna go to the south side. A rule of thumb for me is that whenever I go to like national forests or places that are less visited, I tend to check with the local ranger station and to get the maps and information, which by the way are completely complimentary. And that will help me to better prepare, because chances are those places, it's not likely that they're gonna have cell phone service. I mean, I have a Canadian cell phone and I don't have roaming, so I have no cell phone service here anyways. Alright, why don't we go in and grab some maps? Okay, now I've got this little pamphlet. Kind of like a newspaper, but I found that out of all maps, this is the most useful one, because this one has all the trails information, and here even has, as you can see, the distance of the trail. So this is especially useful if you decide to go hiking to places you're not familiar. What are we waiting for? Let's explore together. Following the pamphlet, I found myself entering the Mt. Baker National Recreation Area by the shore of Baker Lake. This lake is the site of a hydraulic dam that provides electricity to Washington residents. Despite relatively unknown to foreign or out-of-state visitors like myself, this is the backyard for many local Washingtonians for water sports and outdoor recreational activities. I highly recommend checking out Depression Lake, an artificial pond created to help with regulating the water level of Baker Lake. The sceneries you'll find near Depression Lake certainly will not make you feel depressed. In fact, it was just beautiful. If weather conditions are favorable, you might even see the reflection of Mt. Baker on the lake. After reading about all the trails in the surrounding areas on the pamphlet I got from the ranger station, I was particularly interested in one of the trails that would lead me directly to Mt. Baker itself, railroad grade. However, due to the length and the remaining daylight hours, I would need to do it the next day. So, I did something for the very first time in my life: sleeping in my car. Alright, so I just found myself a little spot for parking, and in some of the national forests in the United States, you are allowed to do disperse camping. That means you get to camp for free within the national forest, and of course there are rules you have to obey, and that's why it's very useful to obtain that pamphlet from the ranger's office, because on that pamphlet everything about recreational activities in the national forest, for example disperse camping, and all the regulations are written on those pamphlets. Right now I'm gonna set up my camper van today. Well, this car right here.
and it's my first time sleeping in the wild, and we'll see how that goes. Alright, so everything's all set up except the mosquitoes are pretty much everywhere, and yeah, fortunately I do have mosquito repellent, otherwise they're gonna eat me alive. Now let me show you my new camper van. And the best part is right here. I guess you don't see this every day, do ya? Have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
It was already close to dusk by the time I finished setting up the car. I was ready to go to bed. For my first time sleeping in my car, I learned two things. First, Americans really love their guns, as shooting, presumably recreationally at beer cans, continued till very late. The second thing was how amazing the night sky looked like. They say everything you see in the night sky is from the past. It made me feel that I was connected to the humans who were before me, because I was looking at the same thing, the same way our ancestors once did.
Good morning, everybody. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, I just did it. I stayed a night in the wilderness alone. By the way, do you like this? Yeah, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already done so. Well, so here is what happened last night. Nothing really happened. It was just, a typical night of sleep. Not typical, it got really cold later on, so well, at least next time if I sleep in the wild, I know that probably I need to probably seal the sleeping bag before I actually fall asleep. Yeah, it could get hot in the beginning, but if you somehow can manage to at least zip halfway through, it's gonna make a difference. I think I just spread it out like a blanket, and well, it might be convenient in the beginning, but later in the night it's just kind of cold, and maybe I need to put some extra layers on too. Actually, it's still kind of chilly right now, so I better put some layers up. We're gonna head straight to the trail. Alright folks, we're right now at the trailhead. Wow, can you believe it? There's so many cars here already, and right now it's only about 7 a.m. Wait, did people actually go home last night? Yeah, apparently according to the board behind me, this parking lot is also used for the route that goes to the top of Mt.Baker. So a lot of the cars in the parking lot, I guess maybe those are the climbers who went to the summit of Mt.Baker last night, who hasn't returned yet. And of course, according to this one, Folks, we're in bear country. Oh my gosh, bear country. Are you serious? If you're surprised by this, that means you're probably a new viewer to our channel. Yeah, like I'm no stranger to bear country, but it does look a bit creepy. So I'm just gonna yell, hey, is anybody here? I don't think so. But anyways, if you have been following our channel from the very beginning, you know that this channel actually started with me filming in the wilderness as a way to let the animals know that I am around. So yeah, if you ask me what's the best way to deter wildlife based on our adventures so far, I can tell you that it's not a gun. Sorry, America. It is bear spray, and you need to carry it in places that are super isolated. But here, like, I'm a frequent hiker in BC and Washington, so I don't feel like I need any deterrent here. So, and of course, the next best thing will be making a video. Wow, this is so beautiful, isn't it? One thing that I realized that even in remote areas, the trails in Washington state is not as rudimental as the ones in BC. Like you can see a lot of signs of like humans paving the trails, the kind of stuff, whereas in BC it's just you and the mud pretty much. Well, I guess there is a difference between paying customers and non-paying customers. Wow, you won't believe it. There's so many mosquitoes. Despite the fact that I put some repellent on, I can just hear them going all around my head.
Yeah, sometimes there's a small price to pay to be in paradise. Spoiler alert! On my way back later on, all the mosquitoes were gone. This is certainly not human footprint.
Despite seeing so many cars in the parking lot, I have yet to see a single human being. Who knew I'd have to go through something like this? I made it!
As I hike further into the trail, I began to meet folks who just came down from summiting Mount Baker. The mountain's snowy peak also appeared to be larger and larger as I continued to move higher in elevation. At one point, an intersection appeared. The left will take you to Park Butte, a mountain hut where you get to see the panoramic views of Mount Baker. We're taking the path on the right, which will take us directly to Mount Baker itself. All of a sudden, I found myself standing on a ridge, and the other side of it is a steep cliff that plunged into a U-shaped valley. Then, the enormous south face of Mount Baker appeared in its entirety.
This time I can say that I have finally set foot on the actual Mount Baker. Well, I'm not gonna climb it, but we'll see how far we can go. And as you can see, a huge valley has been formed. I can tell that probably a couple hundred years ago, this valley was filled with glacier.
The railroad grade trail pretty much follows this ridge all the way to the base camp for summiting Mount Baker. The U-shaped valley gave away how much glacier Mount Baker once had before melting away as time passed. The glacier we're now looking at is called Eastern Glacier. And here is a photo that shows the comparison between the sizes of this glacier in 1985 and 2003. Now, you can clearly see that it has receded even further up from the 2003 level.
Yeah, so there was a marmot in the front. And then as soon as I tell two hikers, they just went crazy and went after it. I mean, seriously, people, leave the wildlife alone.
Because it was a nice sunny day, I was able to see Glacier Peak, the fourth highest mountain in Washington state from the railroad grade trail. As I hiked up higher in elevation, the trail got steeper as well. I began to wonder if I would encounter any problems when I make my way down, as one of the climbers told me that I should have brought hiking poles with me to better navigate the narrow and steep trails ahead of me.
And well, presumably behind me over there, that's the end of this railroad grade trail. And to be honest, I don't see any point of going further, because the unobstructed view of Mount Baker, it's still going to be the same. Plus, a climber who went to the top of Mount Baker came down, told me that it's going to be pretty steep up there. And considering that everybody I saw had walking sticks, which I do not, so I think it's probably for the best for me to make the return trip from right here.
On the way back, I encountered a group of climbers who were preparing to summit Mount Baker the next morning. Mount Baker is a local favorite for beginner mountaineering courses, so you will often see groups of climbers come and go on the railroad grade trail. I think overall, this trail is well worth your time and effort, for the unique and rewarding sceneries along the way.
I have to say that Mount Baker really reminds me of a certain mountain that I've been. So now I'm thinking maybe that mountain is a volcano as well.
As we bid farewell to Mount Baker, our adventure of exploring the mountains of Washington State will go on. Where are we going next? And what are we going to see? Why don't you follow me to the next episode?